Welcome to Thursday, May 26, 2022, your day weather podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Cowboy State Daily has more original Wyoming news content than any other news organization in the state. Cowboy State Daily. Sign up for their daily newsletter and check them out on their Facebook page. Well, this morning reminds me of this from the famous scene in the musical Oklahoma. It's a beautiful morning across the high plains in Intermountain West. The sun's out, temperatures are warming up, and there's not much of that W word out there. So a beautiful start to your Thursday, and it is going to be a great day, but changing weather's coming for the weekend. Ahead of this next system, though, it's going to be warmer and a little on the windy side. Winds are going to pick up in many areas Friday into Saturday, so keep that in mind. Nothing awful, but a bit of a wind picks up as warm air from the desert states initially gets pushed in. A lot of times when these West Coast systems come in, they push warm air out of the deserts and you get warm and windy before the cool hits. And that's how it's going to go tomorrow. We see little or no thunderstorm activity today, but a few showers and thunderstorms will return to some parts tomorrow. Then it's a variety of weather for the holiday weekend. It's a real hodgepodge. It's really going to depend on where you are. Like we talked yesterday, the southern and eastern areas of the High Plains and Rockies really won't get much weather this weekend, but the central and northern parts of the western part of the U.S. will. Mountain snow is looking imminent. This will be especially true in Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. You get above 8,000 or 9,000 feet in those areas, you're going to see some snow this weekend and into Monday and Tuesday. It is going to be cool and unsettled for all areas Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So this really warm weather we have now that's going to last into Saturday is going to change, and cooler weather will invade most areas late in the weekend through early next week. We also have some La Nina information we're going to pass along. Here we are with today's pattern. Here's that nice ridge of high pressure that's building on in, giving us the beautiful weather that we're going to have today. Boy, I wish today was part of the upcoming weekend, but this guy up here off the coast of British Columbia is going to be the weather maker heading on into the weekend. And there you can see the low coming into just about Seattle there by Saturday afternoon. And right here is basically the funnel boundary, this where it goes from brown to red here. So by Saturday afternoon, showers and thunderstorms and cooler air begins to push into the Intermountain West. While it's going to stay warm in Colorado, Kansas, and parts of Nebraska, probably through all of the day Saturday. However, by Monday afternoon, you can see the trough just kind of settles in. It doesn't move really quickly with that high behind it, another high in front of it. It's just going to kind of meander. Sunday, Monday, into Tuesday, and probably even into Wednesday of next week. So underneath this trough, it'll get cooler, it'll be moist, and it's going to be unsettled. This is the rainfall forecast through Tuesday afternoon. You can see this swath of orange and yellow here from Canada through North Dakota, northern Wyoming, through a large portion of Montana, back through Idaho into the Pacific Northwest. This axis here is going to be the most wet. But we're also looking at, we really hope this comes to fruition, Colorado's western slope. Craig and Steamboat, maybe even Grand Junction, and those areas have a really good chance of badly needed rain right there. That'll be good. Look at the Wasatch of Utah, and then notice this heavier precipitation right here along the Montana-Wyoming border. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Then scattered showers and thunderstorms will be developing more in this area here as we go through the weekend and into early next week. Look at the snowfall. Notice the heavier snowfall in northwestern and northern Wyoming, southwest Montana, and central Idaho. But we're also going to see snow down into the higher elevations of Colorado, Utah, and back even into parts of the Great Basin. Now let's zoom in. A couple of areas I want to highlight will be Yellowstone Park, the Bighorn Mountains, the Wind River Mountains, the Tetons. If you're going to be up into the Jackson area, if you're headed into Yellowstone, it's going to be winter. Look at the Beartooth Mountains. The Beartooth Mountains here have a really significant chance of some very heavy snow from the start of the holiday weekend, probably through Monday and Tuesday of next week. We could see significant snow in the high Bighorns as well, the Wind River Mountains. So the mountain passes, Powder River Pass, Togety Pass, Teton Pass, South Pass, all will probably get snowed on. That's where the heavier precipitation is going to be. I talked about some wind. Ahead of that low, this will be Friday and Saturday in particular. Notice the green and yellow areas there. There's going to be some increasing wind. This will mean a couple of days, tomorrow in particular and Saturday, of elevated fire danger. Keep that in mind. As we look at temperatures, a warm day Friday, a very warm day, but by Monday. So Friday, Monday, you can see a big push of that cold air into the Intermountain West and the Western High Plains. The purple showing the coldest areas relative to average. The cold, though, really doesn't make it into western Kansas, eastern New Mexico, and southeastern areas of Colorado and the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles. The kind of cold air kind of gets stuck and held up there for a while before it pushes east later in the week. These are the average temperatures for the 7-day period coming up. So for the next week, on the average, temperatures across the west will be cooler than normal, concentrated there into the Great Basin and the Pacific Northwest. Now, so far for the month of May, it's pretty interesting how the United States has gone. To date, this is through yesterday, everything north of this line has had a colder than average May. Everything south of this line has had a warmer than normal May. So there's been a big contrast in terms of how the weather's gone this month so far. If you were to look since January 1st, this may surprise you. Since January 1st, most of the central and northern United States and the West has had a cooler than normal 2022 so far. And really, there's no super hot areas other than the central valleys of California. You can thank the drought for that, and the southeastern areas of the United States. But the year 2022, not off to a real warm start. Now, I want to talk a little bit about La Nina and some updated forecast information. Sea surface temperature anomalies continue to show a robust La Nina, but also notice this. Look along the west coast here with those colder temperatures there, a little bit of a warm pocket beginning to still show up in the Gulf of Alaska. The La Nina, folks, is just not going to go away. It's going to last through the rest of the spring and into early summer. I want to show you also a comparison to the last time we had an intense La Nina of this magnitude. That was 2011 and 2012. So this is where we are currently. This is where we were at the same time in 2011. Now notice the Eastern Pacific was much colder, much more extensive. But we also had an area of La Nina in the subtropical Pacific. So while it's not exactly the same, there are some similarities there. That's why if we are comparing the drought of 2020 to 2022, it's extremely similar to the drought of 2011 and 2012. Sea surface temperature conditions are very similar. I wanted to show you this because we're going to get into the time frame here soon where we're going to be watching what the sea surface temperature anomalies are doing in this part of the world and in this part of the world here when it comes to what we call the North American monsoon, or those summer thunderstorms that we get in the desert Southwest and parts of the Central Rockies and High Plains. That natural flow of moisture that during the summer comes up out of Central America and Mexico and feeds those late day showers and storms. Those late day showers and thunderstorms are critical to the desert Southwest and parts of the Rockies in terms of getting summer precipitation. Now, one thing that we look at is what the sea surface temperature anomalies are like right here. If they tend to be warmer in this area here, that does enhance the ability for that subtropical air, that higher humidity air, to come on in. Also here in the Gulf of Mexico. So if we're warmer here and we're warmer here, that does enhance the summertime monsoon season, especially for Arizona, New Mexico, southern Colorado, southern Utah, even the deserts of California. Now, notice though, we have this pocket of coolness right here. We've got to watch this. What we don't want to see is this area going into the blue. That would be bad. In 2020, the summer of 2020, which was a very, very poor monsoon season, that particular part of the ocean right there was colder than the 30-year average. And that's one reason why the monsoon of 2020 was so bad. The monsoon season of last summer was actually pretty good, especially for Arizona and parts of New Mexico. And that was a situation where those sea surface temperatures are like where they are now. So we'll keep monitoring this. We'll show you this map later as we go into the month of June, because we are getting close to that time of year, especially in the desert Southwest, where we start to see moisture come up from the south and get those thunderstorms going, which they desperately need to see. The La Nina forecast follows this green line. This is the average of all the models, and basically all the way into early 2023, we hit neutral status where it's not above that 0 point yet, but slowly, very slowly weakening. So La Nina is going to persist through the summer and likely into early fall before going away. It's just one of the most stubborn La Ninas we've seen since that 2011, 2012. Not surprising, that was the last period where we hit and we're close to the solar minimum. As we look at the long-range forecast, the probabilities, the blue shows the probability bars of La Nina continuing before we get into the fall and winter season. The red means the potential for La Nina going to El Nino. We're just not going to get an El Nino. That's just not going to happen. But you see the convergence of the lines here of the probabilities of La Nina decreasing and sea surface temperatures starting to go up, but not until early winter. At least that's the way things are looking right now. And if we were to just measure the intensity of the cold, you can see that this La Nina is rivaling the La Nina back around 11 and 12. We had a really strong La Nina back here in the late 90s and early 2000s, 99 to 2002. You know, these three periods were really droughty in the West, and that's certainly something we hope we phase out of, and I think we will. Now, I want to also talk about this. We brought this up in a podcast not that long ago, but this really is important to get perspective on where we're going as we head into this summer and where we are in the long term. A positive PDO basically means the Pacific is warmer. When it's warmer, you have more El Ninos. You see all these El Ninos right here? Lots of them from the late 70s to the late 90s. There were several long-lasting, pretty strong El Ninos. And when you have more El Ninos, the Pacific is warmer, the West is more wet. Starting in 1999 to present day, look at the frequency of strong La Ninas. They're not even close to that same period from the late 70s to the late 90s. So there was much less drought then. There's been much more drought here not because the Pacific has been colder in the tropics, because the Pacific has been colder. Unfortunately, these cycles can sometimes go 30 years. Right now, we're about 23, 24 years into this cycle. So the end is coming, but we're not quite there yet. Have yourself a good Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.